How was practice today?
Practice was good. We're in a unique time period where the guys don't have class yet, but we've been back here in Tucson for quite some time. So I actually think that a road trip for us at this time is a good thing. It kind of changes the scenery, and we got to play 9 road games anyway, so might as well get going. Especially because we've had only one game in the last 14. I guess it'll be about 16 days by the time we get in Eugene. But we have a tall order ahead of us. I think any team that plays at Oregon, and really at Oregon State, it's a tough road game, and we have 2 of them coming. I think that plus a long trip, and it's difficult on the road team to be away from home. But it comes at a good time for us, like I just mentioned, and we aren't at school. And, I think our guys are pretty fresh right now. So if there would be a time for a longer road trip, hopefully we could take advantage of maybe the freshness of it as opposed to this potentially coming at the end of February when you've been at it for a while. In terms of Oregon, they're one of the nation's best teams. I think that's obvious. And can really put an asterisk next to that too, because Nafali Dante has only been playing for 5 games, and some of their biggest wins came without him, and he is a terrific talent. Again, a game changer around the basket, and we have all the respect in the world for Oregon, and we have to go up there and to have a chance, we got to play great, and I think that's what we're going to try and do, and that's what we're preparing to do, to be at our best and see where that takes us.
When a dunk happens in college basketball, can really give a team momentum. You kind of alluded to it at halftime. You were maybe half serious, half kidding, but there has been a lot of opportunities for players like maybe Chase, who's been around the basket, and they lay it in, and sometimes it doesn't go well. Have you really stressed that the last couple of days, or was that more tongue-in-cheek during halftime?
Well, Arizona State in that game, they blocked 5 shots, and sometimes a shot block is maybe off of a second shot, or you block one where it's away from the basket. The 5 that they happened to block were right on the rim. So Zeke did kind of what I was talking about in the second half, where he had an opportunity to lay it up and he dunked it. But that's part of our team adjusting to the Pac-12 this year in our conference. It's an excellent conference filled with very talented players at every stop, and whether you're a guard driving the ball or a big man turning to shoot it, you got to go strong. Sometimes that's a dunk, sometimes it's using a shot fake or just having 2 hands on the ball. But Oregon's going to be a great example of that. When you go to the rim, you have to really finish, because they do a great job of challenging everybody who goes there.
What does Nico have to do well against Peyton Pritchard? Why is he so tough, and how can Nico handle that?
Well, it's a team game, so Peyton Pritchard is Oregon's heart and soul. He's shooting 50% from the field, and he averages 19 points per game. I feel like he's played against us, 20 times, and in fact, he's played against us, I think, 8 or 9 times maybe. He had a big role as a freshman, and he's played on 3 excellent teams. He's now played on four excellent Oregon teams, and he's been a big reason on each of those teams that they've been good. He has the experience, he has the know-how, in addition to his overall talent. But he means a lot to Oregon. Just watching them on offense, he not only scores himself, but he might be the best in our conference at getting his teammates shots. And it'll be a big test for our team. Nico is going to be fine. He's a really big factor on our team. He's having a great season. And the only difference between the 2 of them is, Peyton Pritchard's been through the league three times, whereas this is the first road game Nico's ever played in the Pac-12. But he'll get that experience here soon enough.
Sean, you talked about it briefly actually on Saturday, about the role changes that you talked about, that you had done to them. How did they take it, and can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think from Zeke's perspective, we want to make sure we get him the ball in scoring position. Doesn't mean just on a low block. We want to make sure we're aware where we hit him on rolls after he sets a pick and roll. We want to reward him for running the court in transition, because he does that really well. We're teaching him to be more aggressive in the team game where he can help himself, or he's more of a moving target as opposed to just a low post player, because he's very much more than that. And then, as you guys have seen, Zeke's at his best, and I think our team is as well, is when he's super aggressive on the offensive glass. And he's had as many as 8 against Gonzaga. He's capable of having big nights on the offensive glass, and that gives us a real shot in the arm. So I think for our players, it's just to remind them and make them aware of actually how efficient he is on offense. I mean, he's shooting about 70% from the field. He shoots 80% from the free throw line. Him and Nico get fouled the most on our team. So good things happen when he gets the ball, and he's also a very willing passer. I mean, sometimes when you get it to him and the other team has to double or crowd him, he's been able to throw it out, and we've created some good open opportunities.
Was he the only role change, if that makes any sense?
No, and it's not as much of a change as just identifying, who our team is. And now that we've played 13 non-conference games and, one conference game, we certainly know our team better now than we did at Thanksgiving, for example. And, in shot selection, and I'm not pointing at any one player. It's just, I think against Arizona State, we were smarter. It isn't that we slowed the ball down. Matter of fact, we didn't score as much against ASU, and that was a function of our free throw shooting. We were 11 for 22 from the foul line. If we would have had a bigger night from the foul line, we could have scored more points. So I think for us, being efficient and being able to play good offense, on the road, against zones, early in the season, late in the season, we want to take care of the ball and we want to be smart.
I understand Christian's coming in next. He's an exciting player. You alluded a little bit in the post-game after the ASU game that you don't have a player like him on the roster with block shots. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he's the best shot blocker on our team, and he's somebody who has maybe the biggest upside. If you judged Christian at the beginning of October as a player, he was very much a work in progress. To his credit, he's found a contributing role, and he's helped us in numerous situations. One game in which we lost, St. John's, I thought he really rallied our team and maybe allowed us to have a chance to win when we weren't playing very well. And against Arizona State, I thought he came in and did a really good job in the minutes that he played. And, sometimes he'll have a bigger impact than others, but I think he's earned the right to be able to play each game, make us maybe deeper. And again, there's nothing like game experience. You can learn a lot and develop in practice, but when you can get some minutes in real games, you tend to learn and grow even more. So, our hope is that Christian just keeps getting better, but we're really happy with his progress, and he practices hard every day, and there's no secret to that. And if you work at it, good things happen.
How do you plan on using the extra day on the road trip?
There's really no secret recipe. It's you have to be smart. You're coming off of a game, and you're away from home. Like I said, I think it's good that we have this long trip earlier in Pac-12 play versus later when the guys are fresh and eager. So we're just going to be as smart as we can to get ready for our second game.
Will some of that be dependent on what happens in the first game?
Yes and no. We already have predetermined what we're going to do. Usually the day after a game on the road, it's difficult to do a lot. A lot of what we do is film, walk through, and then, with that extra day, we'll take advantage of having a chance to practice at Oregon State.
Coach, it seems that you have a lot of mutual respect for Dana Altman. Where does that stem from, and what do you admire most out of him?
I admire a lot of things about him. Number one is he's one of our game's best coaches, and he's been that even before he went to Oregon. Coached against him at Creighton. If you watched his teams play at Creighton during his 13 years, they were incredibly hard to play against, and he has a unique style. He's brought that unique style to Oregon, and and he's really found a niche. I mean, they've become one of college basketball's best programs, and certainly one of the best here in the Pac-12. The other thing I really respect about him is, he's a really good guy. What you see is what you get, You really learn to respect that, in that, he's very substance related and really good person. He's been great to me.
You guys made James Akinjo official today. Can you talk
Yeah.
about him? Why did you want to bring him here?
Well, we're really eager to get James here. I think he'll be here before the beginning of the school year, second semester for sure. But I'm allowed to talk about him now. We were aware of James in high school and really when he decided to not go to UConn. So we had a history with him. Not only did we know him, but he knew us. But he elected to go to Georgetown. When it came to us that he was going to transfer and he entered the portal, certainly we had an interest in him, but especially with the need that we have. We're going to lose Nico, and I think losing him and looking at the guys that we're bringing in, Dalen Terry is a guy that we love. He could play anywhere on the court, including the one. But James is that he's that point guard that I think you love to have, and that he's tough. He can score. He can get his own shot. He was the Big East Freshman of the Year, and that's a really good conference. So I think that says a lot about his ability level, and so we look forward to having him. We really do. And if you look at our future, you have to remember Jordan Brown is here practicing every day, and transferred from Nevada. You have Dalen, you have James Akinjo, and I feel like we're getting closer here as we move forward. So, we're going to have a good class. I talked about that. I think Bruce asked me a number of questions. We didn't anticipate having a big class early just because we signed 8 players last year and 4 of them were freshmen. But by the time we get into the spring, April and May, I think we'll have a good group, and we're going to need it, because every year, you have departures, and you have to hit the lifeblood of college basketball, and that's to be able to recruit the right people.
Could you potentially be like Nico, your lead number one with Jamal playing the same kind of role, or could he be more of a combo guy?
No, I mean, I think, James is a point guard. Yeah, that speaks for itself, but his style of play is he can do both. He can score, and he can also facilitate and be a good playmaker.
When will he be eligible? Okay.
We don't know that. All I know is he'll be here, I think, around the 13th, right before the beginning of the spring semester.
Jim Boeheim's comments, did you care to mention,
I don't know anything about that, really.
Oh, he said he shoots, the criticism of Akinjo is that he takes too many shots and they're better off without him now that he's gone because he wouldn't pass anybody.
Yeah, I don't really have a comment on that.
I was wondering though, do you see him as maybe he's a lot of a shoot first point guard, and maybe that whatever situation there happened, it didn't look so good to somebody like him. Maybe I guess I was wondering kind of what you watched him for a while. What kind of characteristics as a player do you think he had?
He was the most valuable player of the Peach Jam, and his team, his travel team, won the Peach Jam. I don't have to say anything more than that right there. If you just look at those types of players that have performed at that tournament, at that level, I'm very familiar with another Big East Freshman of the Year. He was an amazing player at Pitt, me. So I have a lot of respect for Big East Freshman of the Year. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. But he's a Big East Freshman of the Year. They don't give that award out because of anything other than he earned it. And, look, there's a lot of change in college basketball. That doesn't mean something's wrong with the person, the coach, the player, the situation. It's just all we have to do is look at a lot of players that have come to Arizona. I'll name 2 that I didn't recruit, but, Chris Mills and Lauren Woods were 2 great transfers. That doesn't mean that, they left a good or bad situation as much as the one that they chose, Arizona. It really worked out for both them and their team, So, we've had some guys leave. We've had some guys stay. It's not personal. It's not an indication that something's wrong with the staff or the coach or the program. And it's not anything wrong with the player, a lot of times, or the player's family. It's just people are transitioning, and we try to make the best decisions for our program. We had great familiarity with not only James, but his family, his situation. He went to Salesian High School, which is one of the great schools in California. We know his high school coach well. We know his travel team program exceptionally well, the Oakland Soldiers. Like I said, we actually tried to recruit him when he didn't go to UConn, and he ended up going to Georgetown. So we had a home visit there, but we didn't finish in first place. He went to Georgetown. So, right now, based on who we're losing and how he's performed there, his academics and all the information that we have, I think he's going to be just a great addition to our program. And I'm incredibly excited to have him. I really am. You want to balance your roster out with youth, with experience, with perimeter and front court strength. And, we're not going to just recruit 7 or 8 high school players. And I don't think we'll ever recruit 7 or 8 transfers. I think it'll be a blend. But in terms of James, we did our research. We know him very well. And we're incredibly excited to have him. And, people can certainly have their opinion of all of our players. But we have to make our own decisions.
Sean, you're going to find out a lot about Trevor, a lot about this team, win or lose. What are you hoping to see the most?
Well, the one thing is, we can't panic if the win or loss doesn't bounce our way. I mean, we have 17 games ahead of us. I think we know who our team is. We're trying to improve. What's the one thing we don't have on our side for sure? Experience. And it's experience playing at Arizona, and it's also we have 3 players that we count on a lot that this is their first Pac-12 road trip, their first time playing at Oregon. So with that, we have to be smart. We can't panic. And by the way, we can't panic if things go well. Our Arizona State game is over. When we play them in Tempe, it's going to be a completely different experience. And so it's just kind of taking it as it comes. Today we had a good practice, and when we didn't practice well, I tried to hold our team accountable and make sure that they understood what we're getting ready to go up against, because it's not just Oregon, it's also Oregon State. And this year, Oregon, look at Oregon's schedule. They played Seton Hall, North Carolina, Gonzaga, at Michigan, Memphis. And I'm probably leaving out a couple others. They played a really good schedule. They have an excellent team, and no matter who plays Oregon, especially there, it's going to be a tough game, and we know that. So we just have to go in there and be ready to perform at a very high level.
One other thing about James, because all the situation that Georgetown and some other guys got in issues or whatever, is there any chance that you think you might apply for a waiver?
I would answer that, Bruce, if I could. He just isn't here yet, and I think we'll address that the same way we address all of our transfers, and that is once we learn their situation, then we'll do what's best for them and our program, and certainly not at the expense of anybody else. So I think that's something we'll address more once he's here, and I would probably be able to answer that question more in the spring than maybe now.
In the meantime, getting him, maybe you plan having him be the point guard on our scout team, and what kind of difference could that make, however?
No, it's the more quality that we have on an everyday basis, it's better for our team, and having a chance to play against Jordan Brown and him every day is something that I think is a real bonus and a positive. By the way, it's also a positive for him and Jordan, that all they have over these next couple of months is practice. So the more competitive and more talent that's in that practice, the better that they get. So I think that's also something they're looking forward to.
Well, I'm just curious, when you do have a scout team, like who's Nico usually going against, for example? Do you move Max or Jamal over there sometimes, or is it Corey or somebody? Or?
Yeah, Corey a lot of times, I would say, yeah, Corey.
Go ahead.
You joked a little about this Saturday when I asked about the Pac-12. It's crazy right now. People beating other guys unexpectedly. Just your thoughts on that, how much of a race it's going to be, kind of like, who knows?
Well, I think the number one thing that we as a conference, and I think, I really speak for all 12 head coaches, when you get into a conference season and different programs are able to win home and on the road, and you have that competitive balance, it's really voiced as a good thing. That their conference is strong from top to bottom on any given night. Anybody can beat anybody, and it's looked at as a positive. And I think that this year that our conference should be in that category, that, being that we have more parity and on given nights different teams are able to win, that should be a real positive towards the Pac-12 from its increased strength and maybe more competitive balance. So I think that's what we've set out. That was one of our missions as a conference, to win non-conference games. And I think we have more than 5 teams with 10 or more wins. I mean, that's really, really good. We have some really marquee wins. We have a lot of teams that have had a successful non-conference season, and now when we play each other, I think that's to our benefit, not ever to our detriment. And so. But we worked hard. Jamie Zanenovich and the Pac-12 have supported our conference. We've invested. We've hired great people. We've done outside research. We've asked tough questions. We've had subcommittees formed that our coaches have been on, just to make sure that we're making quality decisions with one goal in mind, and that is to allow our conference to have the most teams in postseason and to have the most teams in the NCAA tournament, and then to have the opportunity to have those teams advance with their seeds. So, there's a lot that goes into that, and, it's good to see us have some success, because I think that we have a lot of people that have invested, and I would give Jamie and Larry Scott credit at the top, because they've really taken note and ownership of trying to make sure that we're all on the same page. And since I've been in the Pac-12, this is the most unity we've had in terms of pulling for each other in the non-conference season, and making sure that we're all doing the best that we can. And then once we get into conference play, of course, everybody wants to beat each other.
You mentioned the other day that you were going to try to get Christian in every game and see how it goes, and I was just curious your thoughts, just looking ahead a little bit, because the physical front court that Oregon has, and then Kyler Kelly, et cetera, at Oregon State. I mean, could this be kind of a challenging weekend if you do put him in there?
No, I think Christian has proven that he's fine. Just every day in our practice, we get a pretty good feel for what he can and can't do. And, the one thing, I think if Christian were out there for long minutes, 30 minutes, I think you'd see him wear down a little bit as a young player. But he's not out there for that. And in that short burst, he's able to give us a lot of the things he does well, and he adds to our depth. Oregon's a great example of a team that takes advantage of that depth. With Nafali, Dante eligible, they have even more depth, and so, for us, we're Arizona, and we have to bring the best team we can bring in, and I think playing Christian right now is in our best. That's in our best interest.
With Oregon, like you, Altman went out and got a bunch of really good guys new this season. A lot of transition, personnel-wise. Did you see any difference in what they're doing? Other than the 3-point shooting jumps out and things like that? Are there different things they're emphasizing?
Yeah, they're bigger. They're bigger front court. They have much bigger size, and a lot of times they have 2 bigs on the court. In the past they've had maybe that 1 shot blocker or big, and maybe 4 perimeter players, 2 wings, 2 guards. Now sometimes they would really have 2 traditional bigs. So I would say that's one difference. And Peyton Pritchard is, he's the highest level college basketball player. There aren't any guards in the country that are playing at a higher level or mean more to their team than what Peyton Pritchard means to Oregon. He is a stud. He's a monster to deal with, and he's already won them a lot of games, and he's going to win them plenty more here in the next couple of months. He's a handful.
Are you still seeing the same kind of things defensively, where he's mixing it up constantly, and sometimes even on the same possession?
No, they're playing the same style on defense.
And how do you deal with that? I mean, that's got to be tricky to practice against too, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they play a matchup zone and they press and drop to a matchup zone and they mix in their full court pressure. They can play man to man. They seem to do that at some point each game, and they really try to protect the rim and create turnovers. This year they're not creating as many turnovers, but they also have more size.
I was also curious, I didn't get a chance to ask you the other day of Jordan Maiden, who I guess you switched from manager, he's now walking on.
Yeah.
Kind of what do you expect about him? What does he bring, I guess, at least behind the scenes?
Well, Jordan was going to come here as a walk-on. He played on Nico's high school team, so we had a chance to watch him quite a bit. But he had a knee injury, and he needed to get that surgically repaired. So we allowed him to rehab and made sure that he was 100% healthy. So the first semester, we kept him more in the managerial role, where he was involved but not able to go out there and play. And then once he got cleared medically, we've shifted him to our walk-on status and scout team. But he's a very good player. With the guys that are walk-ons, it always helps when you have guys with size. And he not only has size, but he's a good shooter as well. And more important, he's a really good kid. So we're happy to have him.
One other thing I was wondering too is just, I heard you guys may switch up the hotels this time in Eugene. You offer to be downtown. Is that, I don't know, is that changing the routine or anything? Or were the loggers kicking you guys out? Or
Yeah, we've tried. I think they have a couple new options, so we're trying one of the new options. But we've kind of stayed everywhere during the last 11 years, and hasn't always worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're not an overly superstitious guy, but I just wondered, is it you kind of want to try something different, maybe for the heck of it?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it that way for sure, but we're gonna do that. And but at the end of the day, at the jump ball, you're still gonna be playing at Oregon, and still gonna have Dane Altman over there in a white shirt and a green tie, and you're gonna have a great crowd and really good team to play against. So maybe the hotel can pick our spirits up or something, but we're gonna probably win or lose based on how the game goes, as you know.
What's impressed you about the way Josh has defended and how that's kind of added a different dynamic to your team?
Well, Josh was the player of the game against ASU, which is a tribute to him because he did not make a three-point shot, and he scored 12 points. But if you look at his stat line, he had steals, block shots, offensive and defensive rebounds, played really, really hard on defense. We keep deflections. He led us in deflections. And then he scored in transition. He was efficient. So, coaching him and trying to bring out the best in him, it's always the word versatility. The more versatile he is, I think the better our team is and the better player he is. And so defense is a part of that versatility. And all of our perimeter players are going to be challenged. You didn't ask me about Chris Duarte. I'll tell you this. I don't know if we played against a better wing than him. He was the National Junior College Player of the Year last year, and he's really efficient. I mean, he's a very good player. So Josh will have, at times, the assignment of guarding him, and that'll be a great challenge for him.